All right, welcome back to another episode of Classic Mix Up. On to episode 16. It feels like we were just doing this. Doesn't it feel like we were just here?
Dude, maybe it's like we just recorded an episode.
We did just record an episode not too long ago, and we're back. As you guys know, we bring you weekly uploads, or maybe you didn't know. If you didn't know, we do.
Hey, well, we should introduce ourselves. We're Classic Mix Up.
True.
I'm Riley, and that's Rosario, our lovely co-hosts. And here on this podcast, we talk about music, and we do album reviews, and we talk about general themes in music and all that kind of thing. So we upload, upload for you weekly, usually on Fridays or the weekends.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're here to talk about music, and I guess if last week's episode was a little late, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, it got released.
It should have came out on Saturday, but it's out now. So
yeah, so it's out now. Episode 15's out. We did a little folk episode. What did Abby call it? My girlfriend Abby was on the last episode, and she's kind of our connoisseur of.
She called it like neo folk.
That's
which is accurate because they're modern albums, but they are still that kind of traditional folk feeling. So if you're interested in that, we have that, and if we have 15 at this point, 16 episodes. So
go listen to all of them.
I'm sure everyone can find at least something they're interested in. So.
Yeah. We don't have a bad episode, I don't think. I think every episode I've enjoyed.
I think some are better than others though. I have favorites, but
that's dude, but
yeah. So I would recommend the Care For Me episode to anybody because I love Care For Me so much, and I love that us talking about it. But
I really like our first episode. Shout out to the first episode.
I wish the audio mixing was better in the first episode. For some reason, you were super loud, but it's okay. We got it dialed in now.
But I mean, that's fine.
We figured it out now. We're coming along. I mean, we're still rookies in this game here.
Yeah,
trying to grow the brand, but yeah. Anyways, got 2 albums for you here today, as usual. We've got, I guess a mixtape and a live album. So I guess we don't really have 2 traditional albums today, but we have J. Cole's mixtape, Friday Night Lights, his 2010 project, and then we have Pearl Jam's Live on 2 Legs, which is, I believe, one of their live shows from 1998. So yeah, we're gonna kind of dive into those here in a second. But yeah, are you ready to get into it? Anything?
Dude, I'm ready. I think we got 2 good. I think we got 2 good albums this week. I'm
excited.
I didn't know what to expect coming into this episode because it's pretty much our first episode where we have a short turnaround. So I wasn't, when you asked me when you wanted to record or get ready for this episode, I was like, oh, let's do it same time, which we got pushed back a day when we usually record, but still that's 4 days of turnaround for us. That's nothing, we usually give each other a week. Yeah. Still with plenty of time to listen to the albums, but I will say I typically try to listen to them twice. Yeah.
I usually listen once with note taking and once with just kind of trying to if something jumps out at me, I'll maybe write it down, but I usually try to keep it pretty light on the note taking for one of the listens.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I don't have a ton of structure for this one, but I definitely enjoyed both albums a lot, and I'm glad we kind of picked these ones. So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the introduction, I guess. We're gonna get into.
You want to do J. Cole first? Break it down a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think so, and then start with that since that's I think fresher in our minds at least mine. So starting with J. Cole's 2010 mixtape, Friday Night Lights. So I picked Friday Night Lights because, if you didn't know, I'm a huge J. Cole fan, and I'd say Riley is a pretty big one too.
Yeah.
And we just haven't gotten the chance to talk about him yet on here, so I thought, it would make sense.
Which is funny because we've seen J. Cole together in concert.
We've seen him live together, and he's one of the first artists I'd say we bonded over probably in middle school. I think KOD was out at the time, and we were both fans. So.
Freshman year?
Yeah, freshman year, I think KOD came out. So that's kind of one thing we share in common. But yeah, we haven't had a chance to talk about him yet. So I kind of wanted to do that. And I picked Friday Night Lights because a lot of people consider it to be one of J. Cole's best projects. And I figured that you might not have heard all of these songs.
Mm-mm.
So I thought it'd be fun to kind of get your first reactions and for me to get a chance to talk about one of my favorite artists. So yeah, I guess what was your first reaction to all these?
Okay, so I first saw, because it's not streaming services, and I'm a streaming
Correct.
service guy, and you
Right.
sent it over to me,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Fuck, it's 20 songs long, dude."
it's kind of long. It's
For,
yeah.
you're like the short album guy, so I'm expecting like a short mixtape, and
I've
that
been known to have a short
and our
attention span.
last our
But
last the last album that we did that was like a not on streaming services album was the EP.
oh, it was like 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the Neutral Milk Hotel. I forgot.
Yeah. You were expecting to get this one over quick, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I didn't listen to it. You know, I mean, I guess I'll just put an hour aside today, and it was like literally
Yeah.
I
I
sat
could have warned you
with my
about that, I
headphones on,
guess.
just like doing homework. I was like, oh shit, it's almost 2 hours has gone by. But hey, I surprisingly really loved this album, like
Good.
because it was like the songs that I remember when I was a little kid, like, which is crazy to say because we still listen to J. Cole like all the time. But I'm like,
Present
man,
day.
when I was a little kid, when his first album is escaping.
The sideline story.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that had Can't Get
Had some
Enough
hits on
and
it. Yeah.
Workout for me or whatever that
Workout,
was.
of course. Workout.
Workout.
I didn't
So
even know Workout was J. Cole. I mean, when we were in 2011, God, what was I, like 8 or 9 years old?
yeah, that was
I
everything.
mean, I heard Workout every single day of my life, and then only like I'd say like maybe 5 or 6 years ago did I find out that it was J. Cole, who was one of my favorite rappers. Like, I mean, I found out pretty quickly once I got into J. Cole because obviously it's one of his biggest songs, but that was kind of a weird moment for me finding out that he had such a giant hit. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, like, and Nobody's Perfect. I think that's probably one of my favorite J. Cole songs. Nobody's Perfect.
We saw that one at the concert also, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was
Which
insane.
was a surprise, but it was
like, I
welcomed for
remember,
sure.
yeah, when we saw J. Cole in concert, Off Season had just come out, and I was still very new to the album. Like, I remember everybody that we went with refreshing me on the album as we were driving.
Yeah, we listened to it on the drive there because you were like, I haven't heard this in a while. And to be fair, it was probably like we went in October, so it was a good.
Yeah, it was like 5 months after.
I was gonna say it was a good 5 months since the album dropped. Yeah,
and I listened to it with like some random ass kid, like in like AP calculus class.
Oh, like your first listen, you mean?
Yeah, and he like skipped. You know the kid, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I was
so
thinking.
He was like, dude, this shit's trash. This is dog water. This is fucking horrible.
Yeah, all you had to say was he skipped songs halfway through for me to know who you were talking about.
And listen, but like the thing is like I had one AirPod in and he had the other, and he was skipping through it, and I was like, damn, man, I want to.
That is not a good first listen experience at all because it's a great
album. For that album, no, it's like I didn't listen to the second half of 95 South on the.
You didn't even get to like the beat drop.
South is like literally that Little John like breakdown halfway through.
Oh,
like, and then bitch, my pen in this paper is lethal, and then it's like that shit.
My pen in the paper is lethal. I'm sending. Oh man, I might be rapping a lot today.
We listened to the album before we walked into the stadium.
Yeah,
and like it was so worth it because all you guys were like, Riley, this is good shit. Like
it's so good. And here's the good thing about the off-season tour though is I want to say he played almost every track on that album, but he also played, of course, his classic hits. So we had a blast.
I'm glad he played because I think he played Hunger on Hillside.
Yeah,
and that song was really good live, which it's not my favorite song on the album at all, but live he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, that and another one that I really enjoyed live was the song that he ran out to, which was Punching the Clock.
That song
I had never loved that. That's the beauty of like going to concerts and stuff like that, is like I had never loved that song in my listening. But now I have that memory of J. Cole running out onto the stage to it. It's like, I love that song.
Oh, and he had the live. Did he have the live band in the back too?
I don't remember.
He had a live band past the. Remember the big hoop, the basketball?
Yeah, you're right. Because I remember him thanking all of the musicians.
He had a whole
I think for some songs he had a band.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
and
it's cool. It was cool.
Played all of his hits too. Like, I think that was great. That's when I freaked out the most, when he would play the hits, because he played the.
Dude, remember what he played? God, what was it? Off of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, me and you went ballistic. It was Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, because because we didn't think he was gonna play it, And then you were like, "Oh, I don't think
I didn't know what to expect, man. It was my
And
first
dude,
J. Cole concert.
I was like jumping double your height because I was holding on to you. Remember that?
Yeah,
Just
I
jumping
thought we
up.
were gonna fall over the row in front of
Well,
us.
because we were all hype. Like I remember
Yeah.
all of us like
Yeah, there was like a group of
jumping
like 5 or
over.
6 of us. We
Yeah.
were so hyped. We had
Oh,
great
dude.
seats too because we were kind of far back. But we were like right in the middle. It's awesome.
Perfect. Just enough. He's just far away. It was just like perfect enough. And
Yeah,
oh,
and then
dude, that was
Boz came
great.
out. What a great concert! Wow.
Dude, and what's his name? Fucking the guy on My Life Is All I Have.
Oh yeah, Moray.
Moray was awesome.
Yeah. The only disappointment of the night, I know you probably don't really care, but 21 Savage was supposed to be there and bailed on us.
I know, but that verse, I think on what song is he on that
He's
album?
on My Life and also
Yeah.
obviously A Lot, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs by J. Cole.
Right.
And
A
well, it's by
Lot
21
in My
Savage.
Life
Yeah.
are great. Like I think like what I liked about that concert and what I like about J. Cole is he brings other people up around him that are directly connected to him. They're not just like I think all of Dreamville kind of does that. And like I
They
know
kind of have like frequent collaborators.
yeah, and they bring him on tour. Like J. Cole's like, I'm bringing 21 and Moray.
Yeah.
And then because
and
they're
have Boz come out at some shows.
Yeah, and then they're the openers. They're not just
right.
And they're gonna come
Yeah,
on
I mean, I'm not a huge 21 Savage fan, but it just would have been cool to see him, especially perform the songs with J. Cole. But I mean,
yeah, but
it was an amazing night.
We got a longer J. Cole set because of that.
Yeah, I think he might have played some extra songs. Can't confirm, but it was a pretty long. I mean, it was definitely over an hour set. So
oh, dude,
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Anyway, you want to get in?
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Friday Night Lights. Yeah,
yeah, it was great. It was classic J. Cole. It was a lot of I mean, I think I heard. I don't even think I've ever heard any of these songs before, if I'm being honest. Like I don't.
Yeah, when I first listened to the album, I had only heard a couple.
I mean, like I heard the one where it's the keys from Friday Night or Flashing Lights.
Do you mean Devil in a New Dress?
On this album.
Vilmatic?
I think it's Vilmatic, yeah.
Yeah, that Devil in a New Dress, you mean?
Devil Yes. Yeah.
God,
so no. Okay, so
incredible.
I know Vilmatic was Devil in a New Dress. I know that. But there's another song that sounds like the Flashing Lights.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't have it written down.
I'm gonna go through it real quick. But yeah, like
there's a song that sounds like the beginning of Flashing Lights, though. But yeah,
some classic like Kanye produced beats are on this. Like, like I feel like this album you'll always see on a like rap fan account on Instagram.
Exactly.
And like, this is who did it better, the original or the remake?
Yeah.
And turns out these songs are the originals, and it's like like on Vilmatic came out before Devil in a New Dress, right?
Right.
And it's like
they came out in around the same time, which is interesting. Which is obviously why this album could never make it to streaming, just because. I mean, he raps on a Kanye beat. He raps on a Tupac beat. He raps
a little Erykah Badu song, like a whole Erykah Badu song.
Oh, dude! My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Friday Night Lights dropped almost on the same day.
No way. That's cool.
Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy dropped 10 days after Friday Night Lights, from what I understand.
That's cool.
That is cool. I didn't know that. And it was the same year, obviously.
Like, I don't know. That's crazy. But like, I guess what I loved about this album is the fact that like it's so like in hindsight you can listen to this album and listen to all the influences that went into it and what all these songs influenced and how the people on them changed, because you can hear a lot of songs that are pre this album and pre Sideline Story J. Cole, like the early stuff where you can tell he's still trying to just play cool.
Like find his way, kind of.
Songs later on the album are more like the J. Cole we know now, the more 2014 and Forest Hills and like, the new age J. Cole, the more spiritual, the more like woke J. Cole.
And that's what I love about J. Cole in general, is that he kind of it's a common theme in his music. Like I think immediately of the song Two-Face off of this record, he always has to deal with this kind of balance of he raps about it a lot, of like the recurring theme of the conflict of being a young, popular, up and coming, rich rapper, and like all the things that come with that, you know, the materials, the women, the money, the stuff like that, and also kind of balancing that with the more spiritual, emotional side of it, to where like more stuff that's actually valuable to him, like his childhood has come up, his trials and tribulations. Like he kind of raps about both of those things and balances them in a way that in his whole discography is really unique and interesting, but especially on this mixtape. So yeah, I'd say this is a really cool window kind of into where Cole was going with his career. Like it's not like I think for some artists you might hear their really old music and be like, oh, that doesn't sound like them at all. But I think for Cole, even 13 years ago, he kind of was paving the way for where he was going to go, and he still has the qualities that make him great to this day in his music then.
I totally agree. Like I really was. I mean, I think even the first few songs on the album were like underwhelming, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be
Yeah,
a
you
rough
kind of got
listen.
into it.
But then I really listened to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, dude, no, this is J. Cole. Like, there's meaning in the
Yeah,
lyrics. Like, okay,
it's
it's
like
kind of
classic J. Cole.
cornball. Like, there's a couple songs that are cornier than others, but like I
100%.
said,
Yeah,
it's like I think in retrospect and in hindsight, you can even listen to lyrics that J. Cole has since put out about this era, about how he was rapping to be cool, and
right.
it caught up with him. So like he, actually saw danger. He actually got shot at. He actually was chilling with
Right, like he lived
actual
that
gangsters
life.
when he tried to be something that he wasn't. But then he also in this album talks about like going to college and like taking out loans to
And
be a better
I
man.
love that parts of the album too, because obviously, I mean, we can relate to that. I think when I first heard this mixtape, also, I want to say I was in late high school. I was around like the beginning college age, maybe
Yeah.
the summer before. So it definitely hit for me. But I will agree with you on the fact that some lyrics maybe have aged a little poorly, and people are always going to make fun of some of the stuff that Cole says. He's pretty hated on the internet, like in some circles, but
Yeah.
what I see is like a young upcoming rapper just like trying to find his way and like find that balance
Yeah, his sound.
between I feel like he's trying to find a balance between like creative bars. Like he's obviously trying to be creative and witty with the bars, but he's
Mhm.
also trying to have like authentic and real topics. So he's trying to find his way balancing those. But for the most part, I would say that for the most part, I'd say that he finds a good balance. And that one thing about Cole is that he has gone back and forth a couple different styles. But even like 13 years ago when this came out, he has that quality that makes him a legend today. And that is the ability to like touch your soul and be spiritual and emotional. And like every bar just hits hard and is about something real. And it just, I don't know, it's what kind of makes him one of my favorites, is just his ability to do that. And it definitely still shines through on this record, despite some lyrics maybe being corny or some songs aging poorly.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess like this album, like you could even listen to it and not know when it came out. I think
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Some parts of it definitely sound a little outdated.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Not in a bad. I mean, not in a bad. It's more like I say this about a lot of older albums. Is like it sounds old, but not in a bad way. Like it maybe almost sounds nostalgic. You can tell it's old, but it's not. I said this about Midnight Marauders. I remember it. I'm like, this sounds old. Like I can tell you right now, it's just not pushing any musical boundaries for the time, but it still sounds good. Like it still holds up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, I think what really keeps it timeless is the production. So it's a lot of the sampling, like the "Devil in a New Dress." I think it
yeah,
was the one
yeah,
song "Filmatic," um, which is a little, I think, a Nas homage, right? Because
yeah,
Filmatic
yeah. There is a
is
yeah.
in the bill.
I think J. Cole's
Um,
heroes kind of growing up were Kanye and Nas, and he definitely
yeah,
pays
well, not
respect to both of them on here a lot.
and yeah, and I think sampling definitely is inspired by Kanye, and I think
Right.
the one Kanye song where it's to oh shit, dude, I can't think of it now. Um, to looking for trouble, where it's like Kanye, Pusha T,
Sci High and
Big
Big
Sean,
Sean.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
great
like
song.
such a period piece, and it was so fun to listen to because listen to like Young Push, where before he got all of his confidence, and like
Yeah,
Big
like almost
Sean,
Clips era.
where
Young
he's like,
Big Sean.
yeah, Big Sean, where he's like talking about random ass shit, and like before he was like super suave and like weird.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Big
kind of
Sean
like,
seemed
hate
kind
the
of
Big
awkward
Sean
in this
now, but
era.
like Detroit 2 was good, but like this is like Big Sean, like, you know, B.I.G. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
shout out
this,
Big Sean. I honestly prefer this era of Big Sean almost, I
yeah,
would
me
say.
too. But okay, I think what he's doing now, Big Sean, is that like he's a curator, kind of like a West Side Gun,
Oh
where he's
yeah, he's doing those
curating
like
Detroit
big,
music,
yeah,
he's
which is
curating
cool.
underground, he's
He's kind of an
curating
ambassador
drill.
for the city, which is awesome. I mean, shout out Detroit, shout out Big Sean.
Yeah, shout out to everybody there.
But yeah,
Because
no, it is
like
awesome.
Cypher off of Detroit 2 is
Yeah,
probably
right,
was the only song I ever really listened to off of
right.
that
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
Because some
Needed
of those
Baby Tron
bars,
though.
what?
Needed Baby Tron.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't know if he would have fit in or not. I'm sure he would have
No,
made it work.
but he's not in Detroit. He's Ipsy. He's Ypsilanti.
True, true. I mean, no one knows the difference except for us, but that's true.
It's not Detroit.
You know,
Like,
I
I'm
will
sorry,
say,
it's not Detroit.
if you really go into the modern kind of underground, the modern trap scene, Detroit versus like Flint and Ypsi, like versus like the suburbs, if you will, they do have a different sound.
Yeah.
Like Detroit's a little more drill,
Detroit's
and
more acid washed, like beats.
where
Acid, yeah, like the
right where the
production.
outside is a little more like what Shitty Boys are doing, and like Rio the Young OG and like those guys.
Yeah,
They're doing a little more of a, I don't know what the word is. I mean, I just call it like Detroit style, but they have their own thing going.
yeah. This dude, it's crazy because even like Big Sean was like Detroit, but then now Detroit means so much more.
Well, I feel like Detroit didn't really have its own identity. I mean, it had its era with, I mean, Eminem, I guess, but he was a pretty.
He wasn't.
He didn't really have a Detroit
guys
sound.
In V12 though weren't like.
I'd say the old school Detroit sound is like Dilla, like Slum Village sounds.
Yes.
But I'd say that when you say Detroit now, it means something totally different, which is cool. Which is cool. I mean,
drill.
Most of the rappers who are coming out right now with the drill stuff, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite genre. But I think it's cool that the city at least has its own identity.
Oh, what's his name? Mike.
Mike, yeah.
I don't. Not Mike, but
no, it is. It is Mike.
Yeah, Mike's not from Detroit though. Not Mike, Mike. The fucking what's his name though?
Not Mike, the guy who sounds like Earl Sweatshirt. The guy Mike something from Detroit who makes like shitty ass music. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he sounds like he smokes like only back. He breathes back.
Yeah,
like
and the Lions used one of his songs. They like ran out to one of his songs.
Yeah,
it's like oh shit, the Lions won again.
Yeah, But he's got the Big Gretch song. Big Gretch.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
Mike so something. I guess like the whole point of that is like you can tell that even though Big Sean, even on the song Looking for Trouble, like you can tell that Big Sean, even though he raps Detroit, even on this stuff, is like he was definitely inspired by like the early Detroit or like Kanye or like the mid. It wasn't so Midwest. Much Detroit, it was Midwest. Because I think like at that point Dilla was dead, and like, you know, I think any Detroit semblance there was kind of dying out because Slum Village was kind of gone after Dilla died.
Right. And like we mentioned, D12, as famous as they were, I don't think they really repped the city. I mean, they repped the city, but I'm saying I don't think they really represented the sound of the city.
No, I mean, I think the individual guys did, but like Eminem, I don't.
Eminem got so big that he had kind of lost his, which is I think what's going to happen to happening to Baby Tron, where he's getting so big that he's kind of forgetting his roots and kind of losing that Detroit sound, and he's going for a little bit more of a pop kind of like radio hits.
Yeah, which I mean, it's gonna happen, but like do you really want it to happen? I think like some of the best artists like don't lose their sound. You know, you could say like
I mean, anyone who can keep the same sound but continue to evolve it and refine it, that's like, I mean, to bring it all back, like J. Cole, you listen to Friday Night Lights, it still sounds like a J. Cole project. You know, like he hasn't changed, but
he has a vision.
He's refined it and evolved.
He has a unique artistic vision. Just the way he looks at bars, the way he does produces music. It's like, it sounds like he has a hand in it. He's always had a hand in it.
It is so awesome to hear Cole over some of these samples and these beats. Like, I mean, it's obvious why it can't be on streaming, like between. We mentioned Erykah Badu, Janelle Monáe
for the intro, which is "Don't You Know,"
right?
Which is
by Erykah
my
Badu.
favorite Erykah Badu song,
right? Tupac, and obviously Kanye on "Devil in a New Dress" on the Villmatic off of Friday Night Lights. So, but they're awesome beats, and I'm glad the mixtape is still preserved through the beauty of local files. I was laughing on, if you remember one of the tracks.
Yeah.
I won't be able to remember which one it was, but one of the tracks, J Cole says, it's like, you won't buy my album for $10. You're acting like it's 10 G's. You could get this shit for 2 number 3s. And that's kind of funny. Like, people used to have to buy individual albums. Like, we've just come so far. I don't know. And now we're listening to this pirated off the internet through local files. Like, it's just, we've come a long way.
Well, I think that's the beauty of like even being able to do a podcast like this. Like I think so much like about how I've learned about life experiences that I could never understand through music. Like the reason why like even the profession that I'm going into through school is like a lot because of like learning life experiences through music and stuff like that. Like I could never experience like the shit that J. Cole raps about or the shit that like anybody raps about, but like I would love to understand. Like that's like the whole is like, you know, I'd love to try to understand the best that I can, you know, to understand everybody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
And the closest we can get to that, I feel like, at least in terms of music, is like we have this huge streaming library at our fingertips, and we can not only listen to these artists, we can also listen to their influences and their influences, and just like there's a huge web of like music knowledge and history that is
exactly
really interesting to explore. So yeah, one thing I've actually been doing lately is going to some, I don't know if Spotify has anything like this, but on Apple Music, a lot of artists have an influenced by playlist, and it'll be like 30 or 50 songs that I guess the artist might have said that influenced them. And I think it's cool because usually they're so far removed from the artist's sound, but you can see they pulled all these different things, all these little different pieces of knowledge, and like crafted their own unique sound. And it's really beautiful. Like I think Clairo, for example, has like Mad Villainy in hers, and it's like, wow, I don't know. Like it's amazing that inspired her.
But... Oh, I can think of it right now. Like you think of the beat structure of like More Beer.
Yeah.
And you think of like the beat structure of like Sling.
Yeah, Clairo said like Madlib is a huge inspiration to her, and like Madlib is a goat, which is awesome because I agree, Madlib is a goat. I fucking love that man.
I mean, Madlib the thing with that though it's interesting. It's like because Madlib uses like a pretty like complex beat structure,
right?
But like it's simple to be able to build bars off of, and I think that's what Clairo does too. Is like it's a cool sound. She's really unique sound and a complex sound. But it's simple. It's like you can trace her beats.
I agree.
To a simple, like 4-time beat, you know.
Yeah, interesting how we always get talking about Clairo, but that's my fault.
Right here, Claire, come on the
pod, Claire, if you're listening.
Claire,
just a quick little interview. You know, we'll talk slang. We'll talk whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, we could get a lot done in 15 minutes, man.
Listen, man, we could get 2 hours easy out of her just asking questions.
I would love to ask her about what about Madlib inspires her, because I love Clairo and I love Madlib, and so that I would love to go into that more. But
yeah,
anyways, yeah.
Back to production. This album is beautifully produced, and
yeah, I mean, speaking of Madlib, I would have loved to hear J. Cole on one of his beats, but we got damn close to it by hearing him on these Kanye beats and these Tupac beats and stuff like that, which is awesome. So.
Yeah, and you can really hear that. Like you can hear like the rap tree. You can see the rap tree of influence and
totally
like Kanye bringing up Cole, and then they have the song with Pusha and Big Sean and all their branches and who they've inspired and
right,
really cool.
Right. So. And then you hear like you hear JID, who obviously you hear the Andre 3000 and the Southern influence, but also the, he's obviously kind of been mentored by J. Cole. So it's ongoing. And then, obviously there'll be rappers who come up one day that are inspired by JID. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And I would recommend at least like half of this album.
Yeah, there's some bad. I mean, I'll be honest. Like In the Morning, for example, that song's trash. I hate that song.
No, but I think I guess what actually this album is really good to pick out a top 3.
Yeah, I love to hear it
as well. And so like that top 3 will fill up like 15 minutes of your time.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. What do you have your top 3?
I got my top 3. So I think I'll do the Too Deep for the intro. I guess like not in a particular order. So I'll do
Yeah,
Too
sure.
Deep for the intro because I love the Erykah Badu.
I love it too.
I really like. Hmm.
It's kind of tough to pick three. I mean,
I'll say the bonus track "Looking for Trouble" was really fun to listen to.
yeah,
I recommend that.
it's probably could be in mine too. Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe Vilmatic or
Yeah,
Beatmas.
I think you just nailed my exact top three.
Okay.
So I might try to hide my next like two or three after that. But I'm right there with you on Too Deep for the intro. You have the Don't You Know sample, which is
Yeah.
just
It's a classic song.
awesome.
Great sample for
It's
J.
just
Cole.
awesome. Perfect for J. Cole. And then Vilmatic is I mean I'll say Vilmatic. I'll talk about Looking for Trouble first because I want to go into Vilmatic a little bit, and then we can start wrapping it up. But Looking for Trouble, I love. It's cool to hear Cole, especially at this point in his career, get a chance to rap with these legends. You know, we mentioned Pusha T, Sci-Hi, Big Sean, and Kanye. And at the time, I'd say Kanye and Pusha were already pretty legendary. So that's cool.
Mm.
And also, he finishes off his verse with one of my favorite lyrics he's ever said in his career, which is crazy how you're sleeping on the one that you've been dreaming about. And I really just have always liked that lyric. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then I agree with you on Vilmatic. This is really, I'd say probably Too Deep for the intro, and Vilmatic. I heard these somewhere, you know, YouTube. These are the songs that really got me interested in Friday Night Lights. And I mean, it's this Vilmatic is like incredible because it's hearing one of my favorite rappers rap over one of the best and most famous instrumentals of all time. And like I just think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that beat, I think Devil in a New Dress could probably elevate any talented rapper to new heights because that beat is just
And
absolutely otherworldly.
I would argue that even listening to that, like Vilmatic, and then listening to Devil in a New Dress, that Kanye's version sucks compared to
Yeah,
Kanye's.
I mean, it's easy to say that because for having a beat that good, you should be spitting like some like you could go crazy, but
Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't say Devil in a New Dress sucks, but I think it's really refreshing to hear J. Cole rap on it. I'll say
right.
that.
I think that it's like there could have been way more done with that Kanye song, like someone else
Sure,
on it,
yeah,
or But I think also like it brings up the fact that like I would love to see J. Cole and on a like Dilla beat or like a Soulquarians type like influence beat because he did have like a Erykah Badu like
yeah,
song, but
interpolation,
Soulquarians is
yeah.
like the Roots, it's D'Angelo, it's Common, it's Most Def. I think all of Black Star actually. So Most Def and the other guy for I can never say his name right.
Talib Kweli.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cooley. And so like I don't know, just that like R&B, heavy R&B influence like Dilla beat. I could just eat that up. Like screw the
yeah, no,
Bolden
it'd be
tape. I would love to
amazing.
see J. Cole, J Dilla beat,
I
like
think, yeah, I'd love to see every talented rapper on Dilla, Madlib,
yeah, because those
like,
guys are once in a generational like talents.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll say this about producer talent versus rapper talent, and this could just be me not having as good of an ear for beats as some people, which is I'll go on the record as saying like I don't know much about production. I don't have that good of an ear for beats, but I will say I think a once in a lifetime rapper comes around more often than a once in a lifetime producer because like
Oh no,
you
you're
could
right.
you could
No,
rattle off probably like 10 to 15 or even 20 like
yep.
legendary rappers, you know, like
Yeah.
there's yeah, but I feel
But
like there's only a handful of producers that really like
yeah.
shook the game up.
And but
So
the thing is we're naming off producers that stand above even other legendary producers like
that's
Madlib
true.
and Dilla stand above
They're the
Kanye.
greatest. Yeah.
Like I think like Kanye is an amazing producer, one of the best of all time. Metro
Right.
Boomin's getting there. Like,
Right.
like those guys are huge, but like
But we're talking about like
Dilla,
the
Madlib,
greatest,
like
like the
those guys are
greatest.
like Alchemist, like those guys are like we can't fathom how good they are at
And they
not
just
just
have
their
so much music
jobs, but
too.
their adaptation, how they talk to people, how they meet with people and say, "Hey, we're gonna do this. Let's do." They love what they do. They're true artists. We're like Kanye, yeah, he's got a good ear, but listen, like I really think Dilla, Madlib, Alchemist, all the guys that you can view
Right.
throughout history are just below certain producers out of the water. Like you could not fathom their versatility, their like in that their meshability too. Would just there's multiple aspects to that.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because I think it goes back to the fact of like producers being kind of the underappreciated people in
They're the
the
bass
rap
players of
industry,
like rap.
because there's great producers, like legend, even I'd say go to say legendary producers that I might not even have heard of. You know what I mean? Like I don't, or you look at somebody like say, I don't know, like someone like say like DJ Premier, who is absolutely a legend,
Yeah.
but it's like even Madlib and Jay Dilla are even above him. So it's like I typically only think about the greatest of the greats, whereas someone who's just incredible like DJ Premier kind of might get swept under the rug by like the titans of producing. That is just because I have a lesser knowledge of it. So yeah,
and I guess like we can kind of bring it back to the tree aspect of rap, where like
right,
everybody, it's like a coaching tree, but
yeah,
where does it like who gets the most inspiration from who? And you hear everybody talking about Dilla. Everybody.
yeah. Like
You
everyone
hear,
who's making rap
you
beats
hear
right now,
drummers talking about Dilla, and
yeah,
Dilla had never touched a drum in his life. Like he was a drum machine guy.
right,
You hear Questlove from the Roots, who the Roots are amazing, and like I saw them live. They were fucking awesome. They did a Soulquarians like medley,
yeah.
crazy shit.
Yeah, Black Thought's
And the
insane. Speaking of once in a
Black
lifetime
Thought,
rappers.
underrated rapper,
Yeah,
top
I mean,
10 of all
like I
time.
said, speaking of once in a lifetime rap, like guys like that don't come around all the time.
Have you heard his 97 or 97? What was it? He did the freestyle. Oh my god, that shit is
Oh,
disgusting. It was years ago.
oh, yeah. On Funk Flex.
Yes.
Yeah, I have. That is
That shit
probably the
is
craziest
insane. The
freestyle I've
what
ever
he
heard.
talks about is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how you like that's just built different to freestyle that, but
Yeah, and he's just
my
like
God.
what I think it's like one thing to freestyle and say that like, oh, I got my boys over here, and I got dope on me,
More
I got like
like a fun
I got
freestyle.
the
It's still
bag.
impressive, but to actually write a
No,
meaningful verse, it's like
yeah, it's just crazy. But like
yeah,
anyway, like but back to the producing, like a lot of people like Questlove, the drummer of the Roots and big producer and whatever, like
right.
he he got his drumming style from Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla never played the drums, which is crazy
Yeah.
because Questlove inspired a huge wave of R&B like drummers and producers
Right,
and
like
all.
people would cite Questlove as one of their influences, and
Right.
Questlove is citing Jay Dilla as his influence. It's
No, but here
like there's
everybody's like, "Oh,
levels,
Dilla beats." Like even the fucking the the Griselda guys all are like Dilla. Like
right?
all they talk about is Dilla and production, which is crazy because I don't think a lot. Like I feel like Griselda sound is Dilla sound. Like you think about it, the guys that produce for Griselda are
Right,
all Dilla inspired. Like all
right.
that
Because
singing,
I
the
mean, I think
strings,
he
everything.
laid the groundwork for kind of the modern sampling and modern drum patterns.
Yeah,
Yeah, incredible stuff. And he's from shout out Detroit. He's from Detroit.
yeah.
Was from Detroit. Rest in
He
peace.
lived. Yeah, I think Common. There's a good story of I'm a huge Dilla guy. I mean, I'm sure like that's my one of my biggest favorite,
For sure.
producers, whatever. And there's a story of Common, uh like I forgot who was. Someone went over to Dilla's house in Detroit, and it's his
Mhm.
mom's house. And he goes over there and he's like, okay, I gotta meet with this weird ass kid, whatever. And he goes into the house, his mom lets him in the house, and he sees Common sleeping like on the couch.
Yeah.
So it turns out that Common was sleeping on Dilla's couch for like a whole summer, just making music
Wow.
just in Detroit. Like, and then you go in the basement of Dilla's house,
Yeah.
his whole wall, all of the walls in the basement. There's pictures of it. The walls of the basement are covered in records, neatly organized and sorted out.
That's
And he has all
awesome.
of his beats, all of his sampling, everything. And he would go to the record store on I think the east side of Detroit. Slipping me now, but it's an iconic record store.
Yeah. Right.
Tip would go there routinely, like all this kind of stuff. Like, and he would just buy all these records and sit and sample them all day. And even when he was dying of sick of he had
Was it I can't remember.
sickle cell, I
I
think.
was gonna say that, but I didn't
I
want to
think
be
it was
wrong.
sickle
Was
cell or
it sickle
diabetes.
cell, like anemia or something?
Yeah, I think it was sickle cell. He made beats until he died. Like into that, like he made so many beats. We will never hear the end of his beats, his
Yeah,
genuine beats. Like
it's so amazing to me the sampling before the like internet age. Like they like just sit
no
there and listen
limits
to
though.
records all day and find a sound that you like.
Well, and there was not as much limits. You didn't have to clear it. You could just do it and
Also
then
true.
worry about it after when someone wanted money, you give them money. There was no lawsuits. It was just like, hey, give me money. Give
Right.
me how much money. Give me 2% or 5% of your how much you made. Or you
Right.
don't get to release it or stop printing it. Or it was more simple. It was, you just stop printing the record if they want their money.
Yeah. Those guys who are the goats, the legends that we're talking about, like their drive is on a different level. Like even,
It was
I
their
know you were saying
passion,
that
dude.
obviously Kanye doesn't sit on the same level as Dilla for you, but like I think about the Kanye lyric from Spaceship where he says whatever, you can't be blah 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 until you lock yourself in a room making 3 beats a day for 5 summers or something like that. Like damn, like that's dedication.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, it's
I
just
think like
the dedication is on a different level.
I
Is all I'm
think
trying to say.
I respect the early aspects of Kanye, his grind and in what he's built too. But like I think that it just that Dilla stands above all.
Oh sure, yeah, no, that's I didn't I that's neither here nor there. I was just
Yeah,
saying the
for sure.
dedication of these guys is
Yeah.
on another level.
Is I could dream of that dedication to your craft.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, that was
that
a
was a good
big
little
discussion.
yeah, that was a good discussion. As far as Friday Night Lights goes, it's a long, slightly unpolished mixtape, but overall, it's a good kind of window into J. Cole's beginnings and his. It really is mostly quality music. I would say we talked about Too Deep for the intro. I would definitely recommend Back to the Topic. Freestyle is a great song.
Mm.
Vilmatic, which is Over the Devil in a New Dress beat, which sparked this conversation, is just an incredible song over an otherworldly like beat. I like the song Higher a lot. I think it's super catchy. I just love the chorus on that
Mm.
track. I think Two Face and The Autograph, pretty good songs as well. Premeditated Murder, and finally Looking for Trouble. I'd say if you're a J. Cole fan and you haven't heard those, they're definitely essential parts of his early discography, and I would highly recommend checking them out.
Mm.
And if you are a big J. Cole fan, like us or like me especially, get into his mixtape discography because he has a bunch of mixtapes, and I haven't even heard them all yet. But they're old and they're raw and they're corny at times. But he was he was finding his way, and it's if you really love an artist, it's cool to hear them find their way. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah. But I think that's about all we have to say for our first album of the day.
Mhm.
You can go ahead and introduce where we're going next if you want.
Yeah, for sure. So this album that I gave Rosario this week is called "Live on Two Legs" by Pearl Jam. It is a live album put out by Pearl Jam in 1998, and it's a bunch of recordings from their 1998 American tour. And it was my first live record that I ever listened to, and I think it was my first ever physical CD or record or anything like that.
Oh, cool.
And so it's a little next to I think it's a close tie between this on physical and um Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili
Cool.
Peppers.
Cool.
So those two were kind of given to me on CD at the same time. So
Mine
I
was
burned it.
From Under the Cork Tree.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the first CD I ever. It was a gift, also. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like it was like my parents' CDs, and they were like going through CDs, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to listen to this?" And like I remember we like found the Live on Two Legs CD, and my dad would put it in his old
Yeah.
Malibu, and we would like listen to it driving around, getting
That'd be
dinner.
it'd be so good for that.
Yeah, and one day he was like, I think he was like, "Hey, one day you're gonna have a car for your own. Take this CD. It's yours now. Like, I don't need it. I listen to it only when I'm with you. Like, I'll put in my Eminem CD, like Recovery or some shit, like Relapse or
Sure.
some
Yeah.
weird Eminem album. No offense, Dad, if you're listening, but he was like, yeah, take this.
Maybe offensive. It's Relapse, just for the record.
Right. But like
Anyways,
The Live on Two Legs album just blows those albums the albums out of the water. Like, and this album is always on my shuffle. It's always recommended to people. Like, what are like if someone's like, what albums do you recommend? It's this album. I recommend Magic Potion by Black Keys, this album, and uh fuck, dude. I just was thinking of it. It's the album by Cream. It's their first album.
okay, yeah, we talked about
So
that before.
those are like 3 albums that I recommend. So it's kind of like he explains a lot of what I listen to, like that rock
Yeah,
or like heavier, natural, like more emotional stuff. So it's kind of like but this album is great, and it kind of compiles their first few albums in like their best sounding music, I think, up to this point. Because 1998's before their music kind of goes down, and I think a few songs off of their album Yield, I think it's called,
yeah,
are on this, and that's the last album that I really like by them. And so it has like and it has some of the best ad libs that you could hear from a rock band before. Like, I think one of
yeah.
my favorite ad libs off this album is track 5, Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town, where he's like, Eddie Vedder, the lead singer, is like, he's like, that was a new old song, this is a new song, or like, and then no, this one was the longest title in the Pearl
Yeah,
Jam
longest
catalog,
title in the Pearl Jam
Elderly Woman
catalog. I
Behind the
remember
Counter.
that.
It's very Beatles-esque. It's very like kind of like surreal when he's saying it,
Yeah, I did enjoy hearing the kind of, as you said, ad libs, the kind of uh, Eddie Vedder's interaction with the audience, because I think that's obviously what makes live music is interacting with the artist. So I love when they talk to the crowd, and I love hearing it on a live recording. So yeah, I'll just say, as far as like a general overview, is I've obviously heard of Pearl Jam, and I've heard their music because
Yeah.
they are huge. Considered probably one of the biggest and most influential bands of the '90s. So I mean, I've heard all their hits. I've never really dove into their music though, and I gotta say, I honestly wish I would have heard some of these songs earlier, because like I know they were huge in the '90s, but I never really listened to their music, and some of these songs are really awesome. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but I enjoyed it a lot, and it's really impressive for a live album. I'll always respect, a band or a rapper, any artist that sounds just as good live as they do on recording. I think
Yeah.
this, as far as sound quality goes, they did a tremendous job performing, and it's obviously super impressive to me that Eddie can keep up those like super emotional, full-fledged performances for the entire hour, and then probably go do it for the entire tour, every other
Yeah.
night.
So
It's insane.
what's interesting is that these songs are actually not from the same show.
Okay.
So they're scores
Compilation.
from different shows across the tour.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But still,
So
it was all one tour.
I mean, all still amazing, like fucking so beautiful. Like, it's just his singing. Like, I
Well,
think
his vocals are actually insane.
yeah,
Like
and
I
the
don't
bass
like
playing, the guitar playing is
they're so
way
cool.
better live. Like, way crisper, way cleaner.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just sounds so good. Like, I can't listen to the original versions of some of these songs because all I know is the Live on Two Legs. Like, it's just
And it sounds different. There's songs like that for me for Blink.
Yeah.
For example, like the song "Aliens Exist."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I the live version of that is on the greatest hits, and when I found that, like, just something about it, I like the crowd cheering in the back. Just I like it way more than the
Oh,
recorded
goosebumps.
version.
It's like you're there. Like, I
Yeah,
think
it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like what's really cool too is that they ad lib a lot on this album, on the live album, and it's really cool because like songs like Daughter and oh fuck, where was it? I just had it. Hail Hail are like crazily, like, I think Hail Hail is like one of the least like listened to songs off this album, but like the bass line at the beginning is nothing like the studio recording, but it's
Oh,
just
really?
better, way
Yeah.
smoother.
So I guess a disclaimer for me is I haven't heard most of the studio versions for any of these, so I'm not going to know the differences. But I will say that some of the guitar. I mean, I could infer a lot of some of the guitar and bass solos that I hear on here weren't on the studio versions, and it's awesome to hear them. I love that inclusion. So
Yeah, like I think what's great is that you get a lot of emotion in these songs that you wouldn't get
oh, totally.
live. And
Well, I think with Eddie's style of singing, you're gonna get that emotion coming through either way. But he is really going all out on almost every song in these live recordings. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, massive respect to Pearl Jam and to Eddie Vedder. Like they're great live performers from based off this recording.
yeah,
Would have been like one of the sickest concerts to be at also because like every song is a hit. Also, like going down the track list, like I was listening to it. I'd say I don't know if surprised is the word, but I'd say pleasantly surprised by like how good most of the songs were. Yeah, like I said, every song is like it's like hit after hit. So just being at a concert like that, is awesome.
yeah. And I think what's really cool on this album is like you get a lot of the old songs too, like the stuff off of 10, which isn't played as much anymore, which is like
Right.
Black and Even Flow, which it's still like it's not that far off from that album 10 releasing that like they're not worn out of the playing the song. It's 7 years after the album.
Yeah, where like present day, they're not going to be playing that stuff
Oh,
anymore.
it's just
Obviously,
different. Like it'll be like an encore song that's like they played 1,000 times, and I'm sure that they still put their heart into it. It's just like this is still raw. Like you play it
this
like
is their prime, basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's just great. Like even the worst song on this album is still really emotional and awesome, and I still play it for everybody, and I'm always like, oh, this album's so good.
yeah, it really is so good. Yeah, from the beginning all the way to the end. Like I said, it's like, well, I think the maybe good thing about being a compilation album or a live album is, I mean, they know this is not going to have any filler. You don't go to a concert for filler unless you're the Red Hot
Right.
Chili Peppers. But for the
That's
most
more.
part,
We'll get into that,
yeah,
I guess.
for the most part, I mean, every song, like I've already said it, every song I hear is a hit. It's a banger. It's
Yeah.
loud and fast. So this again is over an hour of music, but it's like, you never want you're never getting bored. It's like being at a concert. So that's why the compilation style album is cool. It's the
Exactly.
same thing for like a greatest hits album. I mean, people may I don't know, people may laugh at the idea. I feel like a greatest hits album isn't really a thing that happens anymore because no one's buying physical CDs. Like you can make a playlist of like you can have all the greatest hits
Yeah,
there
and
for you.
it's your own opinion, which
Right. But I'd say in the era of greatest hits, like I already mentioned Blink-182's greatest hits album, which I listen to as much as I listen to any individual Blink album because it is the best songs kind of,
Mm,
in a track list. So yeah, and going back to the days where still not buying physical music, but before I had Apple Music where I was buying albums on iTunes, I bought the Fall Out Boy greatest hits. I bought the Blink greatest hits because like yeah, I mean it's a good bargain to get all those great songs compiled together. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean this is a good example of that where it's, every song is obviously huge and loud and no
Oh,
filler really.
it's just a great album to have fun to. Like it's just a good
Yeah,
rock
totally.
album. It's a good emotional album. It's a good everything because it's got all those greatest hits, like you're saying. So
Right, yeah. So I have a couple favorites.
yeah. Cool.
I really like the second track right away, Given to Fly. So when I heard Given to Fly, I was like, yeah, so this album's gonna be really good. Like I already
Yeah.
knew
Oh
right off
yeah.
the bat.
Dude,
Like,
that's a great song.
yeah, so it's awesome. And I mean, I know, Eddie Vedder is known for his intense performance and his unique voice, which
Mhm.
of course makes it great. And it sounds great in this version of it. And I mean, he's clearly the star of the show for Pearl Jam. I mean, I know the guitar and the bass playing is
Oh,
good
those
as you
guys are
mentioned.
awesome. The two
Right,
world
but
class
the
musicians.
vocals from Eddie Vedder are just so impressive and unique, and obviously that kind of elevates them to the next level in terms of the great like
Mm-hmm.
the great bands. But yeah, and then Daughter, which I've definitely heard this song a bunch. This is one of their bigger songs, I think.
Mm.
But hearing it this most recent time was the first time that I really like kind of listened closely to it, and it definitely really stuck with me. It's super infectious. Obviously, the vocals are great, so it makes it pleasing to listen to, in the first half. And then it takes a sort of turn in the second half, which is more low key and more focused on the instrumentation. And while that's going on, the lyrics kind of transition to a more like narrative bait, like it's a more storytelling type song. And it ultimately makes for a really interesting song and story because yeah, I mean, I don't think the word beat switch are really used for rock music, but like
Transition, like a
yeah,
break.
yeah. I mean, I'm a rap fan, so I think of beat switch, and there's a beat switch, so to say, in this
Yeah.
track, and it totally shifts gears, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mentioned how I loved some of the live guitar playing was incredible. Some of the solos. I think one song that highlights that is Red Mosquito. It's so like I wrote down that it's cinematic, so it just to me that means that it just sounds huge and over the top and just awesome, and that guitar shredding in that song is so cool. I mean, I would love to see that live. I'm sure it's amazing. Yeah, so those are my top three.
Oh, that's awesome. Fuck, dude. My top three have to be Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town.
Yeah, that narrowly missed mine.
Is just insane. Go is awesome. Do the Evolution, and then 4 is Hail Hail.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah, do it. It's a great album for everybody listening to. Is like it's a great album to just listen to. Like it's just it has such good replayability because there's not a bad song.
Right. Yeah. So I'm definitely I already added a couple songs to various playlists or whatever. I'm definitely interested to go back because and I also I guess am interested in checking out their like their studio versions of these songs. Maybe find a little bit more like deep cuts but yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I maybe have just underrated Pearl Jam a little because you hear their songs on the radio. I don't know. I'll say this. I'd say
everybody's parents listen to it, so it's
it's like you hear the songs on the radio. You're like, okay, this band has the radio hits or whatever. But it's like you can never really tell if they're a good band or not. I'm sure those songs may be great, but it's like this is like what my stepdad listens to. But like this album rocks hard. Like it's definitely solid.
And I think that's why I like this album over their actual studio albums because you hear the studio versions on the radio so much.
Yeah, that's a little different.
So I guess if I had to recommend another song by them that isn't like really isn't like
I guess more of like a deep cut.
Yeah, so they have a single that's called Last Kiss.
Okay.
And I think it's a Buddy Holly cover or something like Bob Dylan maybe. It's a cover, but Last Kiss by Pearl Jam is really good, and it's just like one of those songs that you're like, oh, this is like great. Like it's one of their most like streamed songs now, but it's like a not on an album. It's like a cover, so it's like so like good. I don't know.
Got it. Yeah, the original is by Wayne Cochran.
Oh, see, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard of that guy. I don't know if I should be saying that. That might be like a very famous musician. I'm actually almost positive it is.
Yeah.
But cool. I'm not a historian. I'm just a casual enjoyer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would recommend this as a way to get into Pearl Jam, I think, for people.
That's more of a fun way. Not like
I think it is because sometimes I'll struggle with maybe getting into new artists, just trying to like sift through their albums and sit through, like typically I'll listen to maybe the most recent record or what people consider to be the best, but they're never going to be like perfect right off the rip. Very, very rarely do I think an album is nearly perfect off the rip. I mean, I have a couple examples where I did, but it's rare. So listening to a compilation album like this or a live album is honestly a really cool introduction, and it makes me interested in the band that I was not really interested in before. So pleasantly surprised, I'd say, and glad I got the chance to listen.
Hell yeah, dude.
Sweet.
All right.
That about does it. It sounds like.
Yeah. What do you want to? Do you got an album for me next week, or
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. So if you guys missed episode 15, this will be a little bit of a spoiler. We had Riley's girlfriend Abby on the show, and me and her were just talking about a lot of stuff we enjoy. We share a pretty similar taste, I think, me and her, and some stuff.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Well, dude, I sat there. I feel like last episode I sat there and I didn't know what was going on. It was like you
Yeah,
guys
you're gonna know we're gonna get you kind of
okay,
indoctrinated. I
yeah,
think, yeah. So,
indoctrinated.
well, yeah, we were talking just about some stuff about the Phoebe Bridgers album, and you like had no idea of some of the artists we were talking about. So
Yeah.
we got to get you tapped into that. So, your album for next week is going to be, we're going back into the folk world. It's going to be "I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning" by Bright Eyes.
Okay.
So yeah, Bright Eyes lead singer Connor Oberst, who we heard on the Phoebe Bridgers
I didn't know
album.
that was him.
Now you know, and now you'll hear the album, and yeah, we'll talk about that next week, and I think you'll like it. I think it's a very, very typical folk album of its time. You know, it came out, I believe, in the mid 2000s, and it's yeah, you'll see. It's really good.
Good. Now, okay, so I got a choice here. You want to do a rap or a blues rock
Ooh, okay.
cover
I've
blues rock album
I've
covers?
done a lot of blues rock in on this show.
Okay,
It's
well, okay.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say no to a rap album. I'll say that
Okay.
much.
Hmm.
Is it a rap album I've heard, or will it be new to me? Do you think it'll
It'll
probably be
probably
new to
be it
me?
probably, but it's something not familiar, but it's just a different. So it's a
Okay.
tribe album, a Tribe Called
Oh
Quest.
yeah, yeah.
Because
I'm down for a Tribe album.
I gotta slowly indoctrinate you into the greatness of Tribe Called Quest. But
Yeah,
I'm thinking, what's your Outcast like have you listened to all the Outcast albums?
yeah, and I love them. The only one I haven't listened to is that one where they like break off and do
Speaker
their
Box
each
Love
one do a
Below.
side. What's that called?
Speaker Box Love Below.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. So I mean, if you're passionate about that one, then
Nah, it's not as good.
I think
Okay.
it's most people's least favorite. I believe. Other than that, I've heard them all, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, just give me a second because I want to give
yeah, no,
you
you're good.
maybe do low end theory, but I don't feel good about low end theory to talk about on the pod. So
You know what, Riley? If you really want to talk Outcast, I forgot they have like a really early album before
oh so,
ATLians.
no, I think
Southern playalistic Cadillac music. That
yeah,
I
no,
can't say I've heard.
I'd rather do I guess like no, I won't do that one. Oh, I'm not even looking at my rap music. Fuck, I was looking at my folk music. No wonder I couldn't find any rap music.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm down for whatever you can give me. I mean, I love getting into new rap music. So, and I mean, you
okay,
can give
well,
me something I've heard before.
yeah.
That's
So,
not,
so
yeah.
actually, like, I'm gonna take a second. Like, I thought I had an album, but I'm gonna actually look to make sure I don't have anything else. So, like, talk about what music you're listening to, or like,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to-
yeah. Let me talk about what music I've been listening to. So, let's see here. I listened to a new album a 2023 album this week. I feel like there hasn't been that many 2023 drops. I listened
yeah,
to I
I
listened
don't
to
know.
Lil Yachty, Paramore, and then most recently I listened to Caroline Polachek's new album, which is Desire I Want to Turn Into You.
Hmm.
Um I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a fan of her work, but I've kind of admired it. This album is getting a lot of buzz. I think Fantano rated it highly.
Hmm.
So I did give it a listen. I'm gonna want to re-listen to it because I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. But it's definitely, I mean, I think you got to be in the right mood for it. But and I don't know if you would love it, but I think it was pretty good, and I'm interested in it. But
That's good.
yeah, I want to re-listen to it though because I'm not quite sure on it. And I mentioned the Paramore album. I believe I talked about that on a previous episode of the podcast. Wasn't blown away by the Paramore record. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie. A lot of people love it.
Hmm.
I think it was pretty repetitive, and I've never been the hugest Paramore fan, anyways. But I don't know. I listened to speaking of the GOAT Madlib. I listened to one of the Quasimodo albums, the most recent one, which was 2013. So it's not exactly
Right.
recent, but Yes or Whatever by Quasimodo, which is kind of Madlib's alter ego that actually raps.
Hmm.
Beats were incredible as expected. I just really can't get behind the Quasimodo voice, which you'd be familiar if you've heard Matt Villain, you know, the voice he does when he raps.
Yeah.
Super high pitched, nasally, almost sounds kind of like Eminem, like Slim Shady.
Yeah.
I really hate it. So I mean, it's like technically speaking, it's good, but I can't get into it with the voice, so that kind of ruined it for me. But yeah, other than that, I haven't been too busy since the last time you saw me. You know,
Yeah, it was fairly recently.
it's pretty quick turnaround. Yeah, I listened to Man on the Moon by Kid Cudi. Like, none of these are first listens, but these are just albums I love. I love Man on the Moon by Kid Cudi, so shout out that. I listened to Kids by Mac Miller. One more. I always listen to an album when I wake up in the morning. Yeah, when I'm getting ready and walking to class.
Yeah.
So kind of sets the vibe for the day. I listened to Kids the other day. That was pretty good. Listened to Nothing Happens by Wallows as one of those morning albums the other day. Tremendous album. Love everything about it. Really need them to drop some new music because the most recent single they dropped was pretty awesome. Oh, you know what I forgot to talk about last time we talked is I finally finished the first Black Star album. Like I listened to every song on it, like all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously solid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have heard I think I've heard a few of the songs and I've heard their features, and I know obviously both of the members, especially Mos Def, are pretty legendary. So I thought it was time that I, as a rap fan, kind of listened to the Black Star album, and yeah, it was great. I thought, yeah, I see what the hype was for. I guess I thought you'd be interested in hearing about that since I know you're a pretty big fan.
Yeah, I love Black Star. Black Star is like my childhood.
Yeah, that's awesome. Other than that, just, you know, pretty typical stuff. I've been really into Mavi still. My most listened to song of the year so far is My Good Ghosts by Mavi, which is just an absolutely incredible song that came out in 2022. It's, I don't know, it does something to me. So I've been listening to that like crazy. I've been listening to Phoebe Bridgers like crazy too, really, ever since we talked about it.
Yeah.
Ever since we talked about it, which was like 4 days ago, I don't know, I've been thinking about it, been thinking about her, and yeah, I mean, her music's awesome, obviously. So yeah, it's kind of what I've been up to. So you can go ahead and do your rundown if you are ready.
Fuck. You know what? I think if I don't find the album that I'm looking for, there's a really specific album that I'm looking for. I might just give you.
You can give me the blues rock album if you. I mean, I'm
no.
cool with whatever.
Dude. Let's do. Okay, the Slum Village album, fantastic. Volume. Have you listened to that?
No.
Okay.
I've been needing to.
Dilla, Slum Village, Detroit. You got Q-Tip, D'Angelo, Busta. You got Pete Rock on it. You got Common on it. I mean, it's the songs, you know.
Yeah, I've actually, that is on my personal list that I made in the summer of stuff I want to listen to. And when I was telling you about stuff I wanted to listen to, you said to save that one for the podcast. So here we are. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Dude, it's a great album. I haven't listened to it in a long time, so that's why I wanted to go back.
Yeah, no, I love picking albums that I haven't listened to in forever for the pod because like it gives me a chance. Like Friday Night Lights, you know, like I like it a lot, but I don't casually listen to it often, so it gives me a chance to like revisit it. So yeah.
Yeah, it gives me a break to like really get into rap a lot. Like I've been really jamming out to some like West Side Gun. Like I mean, I know we always go back to West Side Gun, but like really,
well, he's like our favorite. I think he's like kind of the mascot of this podcast at this point.
Yeah, like I mean, think it's just that MF Doom and him collab like on 2 strings is just so good, and that beat is just kind of like bone curdling. Like you get like this, like the beeps are just fucked.
Cannot wait for Gun Lib to come out, which is the West Side Gun Mad Lib project.
Is that coming out soon?
It's been hinted at. I mean, I think both members have kind of said stuff about it. And towards the end of 2022, West Side Gun kind of went on a Twitter spree saying all kinds of crazy stuff. But he did say He's dropping that record called Michelle Records, and
Yeah.
he's dropping Gunlib, and he said he's retiring soon after that.
West
So
Side Gun?
yeah, he said he's retiring from making music and focusing on curating and running the label, which
That's awesome.
is fine. I mean, I hate to see one of, if not my favorite rapper, retire from making music, but also what he's doing with Griselda. We've talked about it a ton, but what he's doing with those guys and curating their albums and signing them and kind of letting them come is like, would I rather have 10 more West Side Gun albums or 10 more artists that are as talented as West Side Gun? It's like,
Yeah.
I would love to see him grow the label and curate albums at full
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah. Dude. And I guess on other stuff that I've been listening to this band called Cadaver a lot.
I think I heard
And
of
it's
that.
a German, it's spelled Kadavar, and they're like a stoner metal band, but they sound like Cream, like so like
Interesting. Are they
like
like old school?
no, they were founded in
Okay.
2010.
Okay.
The song all our thoughts off of their self-titled album is I would really jam that song. And the album Witness by Benjamin Booker. Benjamin Booker, I might give you that album in the future, so don't. I actually, yeah, that was the album that I kind of wanted to give you this
Okay.
week, but I
We can
decided,
save it.
yeah, to save it for something a little,
Sure.
maybe a little, keep it a little switch up, so we're not doing too like rock slow kind of stuff. But yeah, so
Sweet.
yeah, that's what I've been listening to. Pretty basic me stuff, just kind of like
Yeah.
rock and
Well, it's
rap.
also been a quick turnaround since we last talked, so
Yeah,
you know.
it's this weekend kicked my ass for no reason. I didn't even do shit. And it was just like
Yeah.
busy. Like I just stayed busy and it was just like,
Yeah, I
oh,
feel you. I'm pretty
already
busy this
Tuesday.
week myself. And I still, you know me, I had to carve out some time today in my busy week to go snowboarding, and now my legs are yelling at
Yeah,
me. So
trashed.
yeah, I'm pretty tired recording this. So hopefully I wasn't slurring my words or anything.
No, you're
But
fine, dude. You're doing great.
no, I'm
Also,
glad we got this done though.
yeah.
This is a good
Yeah, listen, we
episode.
gotta stay on the grind. We can't slack off for our fans, our hundreds and thousands of fans.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to grow the brand. Classic mix up to
For
the
the
moon,
brand.
obviously. So
For the
I'm
brand.
trying to do some social media managing, aka tweeting.
Yeah,
So
I'm not on Twitter. I feel
no,
so
you're good. I mean, you're good. I tweet all the time on my personal, so I'm kind of just trying to use the podcast count a little more and try to get a little engagement. So
yeah.
if you're watching this and you don't follow us on Twitter, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter. If you're watching the YouTube video, the ticker is right there telling you where to
Yeah.
follow.
Classic
Or if you're listening on Spotify or whatever, you can go in the description. I link the Twitter in the description. I also link the music we talked about today in the description, so I'll do that if you want to listen along with us.
Yeah.
As far as Friday Night Lights goes, considering it's not on streaming services,
Don't
not exactly
pirate
sure what
it
to
from
do for
illegal
you.
services. Don't
Yeah,
do any sketchy shit.
you can DM the podcast on Twitter though, and I'd gladly direct you to the
Yes.
place where you can get the files.
Oh, link like Reddit or whatever. Like link.
Yeah, I could put. I'll find the website link and
yeah,
I'll try to figure something out for that. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us here on episode 16. If you listened this far in, thank you. We appreciate it. If you listen week in and week out, we appreciate it. I know there's a couple of you, so that's means a lot to us.
I know
And
a couple people that listen. Thanks to everybody that listens, or like maybe not catches every episode, but catches ones that they can or come. We make it every week, so those.
Yeah, right.
It's okay. We'll always be here. Don't worry about.
That's true. Yeah, and if you know someone you think might be interested in any of the artists we talked about, like
I forget that I do a podcast half the time because I'll be like, oh man, I gotta go. I gotta do my podcast, and people are like, you do a podcast?
The exact same thing happens to me. Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, yeah.
I'd say probably 9 out of the 10 people who I end up finding out I have a podcast, they don't really care about music, or at least would want to listen to two good dudes talk about it. But some people think it's cool. Some people don't really get it.
Yeah, people that are like, oh, they look it up, and I'm like, oh, do they save it? Like I have a couple friends that do.
Yeah, I mean it's at least semi-professional. Like we have a logo at least and a YouTube channel.
I mean, and then we stay pretty professional on here. We're not being idiots or anything like that. We keep our, we have.
I mean, we're here to talk music and we do so. So yeah, anyway, I mean, with that said, I hope you enjoy. I hope you share with your
Yeah,
friends and all that.
I agree.
That's pretty much all I got for this week, though. So
Yeah. Any wise words, I guess, is that where it leads me. So
yeah, if
everybody
you want to do a
just
little, you do your little speech.
yeah, so everybody just kind of stay happy and healthy out there. Give everybody, as a sympathy. I would say, like, give, just look at like, I would say, like, look at the sky and be like, oh, look at how pretty it is if you got blue skies where you're at. Even if it's like
Yeah,
cloudy
it
all
was
day
sunny
and you get one
today. I
hour
like
of
that.
blue skies, just be like, man, this world's beautiful. Like I go to school in Detroit, and it's like, oh, you're in a city. In Detroit's like rough in some parts. So you're like, oh shit, it's Detroit. But then like just sometimes when I'm walking and the buildings get caught by the light in a certain way where they shimmer, and it's
Mhm.
just like so like it's so surreal. I feel like the world is bigger than me. It's like I'm small, and it's this way of like it's not scary, it's more like insightful of like, oh, I'm just a moving cog in this wheel of life. So I guess that kind of brings me peace that like, okay, because our world is so connected through media and everything bad or everything stressful is out there right at your fingertips. So a lot of people are stressed for reasons that they cannot control, and they need to just slow down a little bit. So I'd say just like slow down, like delete your apps, go read a book, and you'll realize that the world is a lot slower than you really think, because we kind of use time as this stressor. Um, and that's really what everything revolves around. So if you just kind of take that aspect out of like things that affect your time or your impending doom or something, like you'll maybe like ignorance is bliss in most instances. And fucking social media is all for clicks. So
It's true.
just don't stress. Like sometimes social media stresses me out for no reason. It'll be the stupidest shit. I'm like, this doesn't affect me at all.
I
Why
agree.
am I stressing out?
Sometimes I may read a tweet that will make me mad in real life, and then I think, whatever
Yeah,
this tweet is about is not going to matter in a week or even a day.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, anyways, yeah, those were the wise words from Riley. So, yeah, that's about all we have. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.